Hi guys, welcome to Faith and Entertainment. Thank you for being here. I've got one today that I've done before. I just find it um, so inspiring that it needs to be done again. That's just my opinion. I hope you agree. Um, no one is ever totally gone. Jessi Colter recalls the beautiful story of Waylon Jennings finding Jesus on his last Thanksgiving. A lifelong struggle with a beautiful ending. With Thanksgiving coming up, or just passed. I'm sure many of us enjoyed gathering with family and friends, watching football, and obviously eating tons of good food. I'm sure many of us took the time to reflect on everything we're thankful for, despite the ups and downs of life, as the title of holiday suggests and encourages. In addition to being grateful for the people currently in our lives, many of us also know what it's like to experience a holiday like this without an important loved one there to make new memories with. One country star who understands that as well as anyone is Jessi Colter, who lost her husband, Waylon Jennings, in February of 2002 after he passed from complications with diabetes. In a lengthy feature in the November edition of Guidepost magazine back in 2017, Jessi shared an incredible personal story in her own words about Waylon's last Thanksgiving and how it ultimately changed his life. He famously struggled with a bad drug habit for many years, and as a young man, he abandoned the faith he had been raised with because of the harsh fire and brimstone sermons he grew up with. Jessi grew up as the daughter of a Pentecostal preacher, as her mom had her own church near Phoenix, Arizona. At age 11, Colter became the pianist at the church, a skill that would ultimately shape her music career in life. She recalls meeting Waylon in the 60s in Arizona at a JD's nightclub, at a time when Jessi said that she had already abandoned the faith of my childhood as well. In October of 1969, Waylon and Jessi got married and moved to Nashville. Waylon continued to struggle with drug addiction. She wanted badly for her husband to quit them, obviously, but she also understood that he needed to do so in his own time and his own way. Waylon's friend Johnny Cash had kicked a similarly bad habit, and he was able to kick it by going to rehab, though Jessi knew Johnny was already a Christian, and he probably had an easier time accepting that he needed help because he knew he was truly broken and needed God's help to overcome his struggle. After much prayer on Jessi's part, she had come back to her faith years before. In March of 1984, Waylon decided that he wanted to stop doing drugs on his own. Well, they rented a house out in the Arizona desert, canceled everything on the calendar, and camped out while Waylon came off of all the drugs. The ordeal was painful, physically and emotionally. Every bone in Waylon's body screamed out in anguish. Later, he wrote how my presence, my prayers made a difference. Somehow he quit on his own and managed to stay sober the rest of his life. Jessi also importantly noted of the ordeal, let me be clear, I do not consider Waylon's way to sobriety a template for others. I would never encourage anyone to rely, as he did, on sheer willpower. It can be a recipe for disaster. I thank God that Waylon made it work, and that I knew enough to stay out of the way. In the early 2000s, the couple packed up and moved to Arizona, Jessi's home state, from Nashville, where Waylon would live until he passed away. While Waylon was no longer on drugs, his hard living and lifestyle had taken a toll on his body, and he wasn't in great health. He had severe leg pain due to his diabetes, and he could no longer drive, so Jessi would drive him around to their favorite spots in the desert. It caused him to reflect on many of the mistakes that he'd made over the years, and Jessi recalled him feeling guilty for all the pain he caused other people, unable to forgive himself. With everything going on with his health and heart, on Thanksgiving Day in 2001, Jessi felt it in her heart. The time had come for a very real and honest conversation she'd wanted to have with him for many years. Being that they were married for over 30 years, Waylon always knew when Jessi had something on her mind. Looks like you want to say something to me, darling, he said from his hospital bed. You got something to say, go ahead and say it. Waylon sensed what was happening. He always did. Finally, I said it. Are you ready to accept the Lord? He grinned. I knew you were going to ask that. It's a simple question. It all comes down to one thing. Are you ready to be God's man? He nodded and kept repeating God's man. And he said, to become God's man, what do I need to say? That you accept Jesus, that you love him as he loves you, and that you turn your life over to him. Right then and there he did. Jessi shared the beautiful moment they shared together in that hospital room. Waylon said those words. I wept. He took my hand and said, I love you so much. He had declared his love for me millions of times before, but this time his tone was so vulnerable, so soft, so sweet. His sincerity thrilled my heart. Sadly, Waylon, already poor health, continued to decline. He passed away on February 13th of 2002. Jessi remembers his last Christmas several months before that as being joyful, saying he spent it with family, singing hymns and spending time together. She noticed a new confidence in him, but a far different one than the swagger of an outlaw country artist. It was a new confidence, not the swagger of an outlaw country artist, running on stage to the cheers of hundreds of thousands of fans, but the quiet assurance of someone who knew he was God's man. It's a remarkable story and proof that, like Jessi says, no matter how far gone you think someone is, there's always hope. Jessi always felt like the Lord was working to bring peace to her husband one day, adding poignantly that no one is ever totally gone. We leave our mark on the world, especially an artist like Waylon, and we leave our mark on hearts of others. In the desert, Waylon kicked drugs. On the operating table, he survived surgery. That Thanksgiving, Waylon at last understood that he loved the Lord as the Lord loved him. It's one of my favorite country music-related stories to look back on every year ahead of Thanksgiving, and a great reminder of what's really important as we hit into the holiday season. Behind every good man is even a better woman, as the old saying goes, and these two were a power couple that not only left a trailblazing legacy of incredible outlaw country music, but true and unconditional love. Here's to the late, great Waylon Jennings and the woman who helped save him, Mrs. Jessi Colter. Storms never last. There you go. I just think this was one of the most beautiful stories of finding God. I don't really like that term, but you know what I mean. I kind of think Waylon knew he was there all along, and I think Waylon kind of accepted him before this. This was kind of like a finalizing the deal type thing, maybe. And I just, it's a beautiful story, man. If that don't hit you in the heart, nothing will. Please subscribe if you have not yet. Please like this video. I'd appreciate it. You guys have a great day. God bless you, and I'm praying for you.